Ian,
Pat.
I woke up this morning out of my weird dream where in the backyard someone was breaking into my house wearing a gorilla costume. I had to call the police. While that was happening and my mind was still gelling into reality, I saw announced from Nintendo, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Like, wow.
Wow. So
Wowie wow.
I'm sort of excited for this. So Age of Calamity is going to be a prequel story to Breath of the Wild. So it will be the pre-apocalypse to Breath of the Wild's post-apocalypse.
But they explain in the story, yeah.
It should... whoa. Jesus Christ, my brain just like went just shut down for a second.
Join the struggle that brought Hyrule to its
We're
knees.
back.
Learn more about Zelda, the four champions, the king of Hyrule, and more through dramatic cutscenes as they try to save the kingdom from calamity.
The rolling blackouts reached my brain.
The Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity game is the only way to firsthand see what happened 100 years ago.
So this is being developed by Tecmo Koei. They do all the Dynasty Warriors games. So that's what Hyrule Warriors is. Basically, Shin Sengoku Musou, or Sengoku Musou is the hack and slash series made popular by Koei. And the original entries kind of focused on, from what I understand, like the Romance of the Three Kingdoms sort of era of stuff. So like the
medievalish sort of
the era of Chinese history with larger than life heroes and stuff like that are sort of based in history, but also just not at all based in history. And that series was hugely popular. It's all about mowing down wave after wave of enemies.
Third person, you just fucking go nuts.
And it's a series that I'm not like, I don't love. I need an entry in that series every 3 years to scratch the itch. That's kind of how I feel.
You want to wipe out hordes of hundreds of enemies.
I want to watch that counter quickly enter the high triple digits.
Like you're Bruce Lee fighting everyone in a dojo.
Yeah.
It's like taking out everyone.
So they've done Dragon Quest entries. They've done Fire Emblem entries. And the first Hyrule Warriors on the Wii U was the marriage of...
The what? Wii U?
The Wii U, yes. The Wii U.
You could Google that.
Yeah. And it took the Zelda world and put it in there and shoved it into the Dynasty Warriors mold. There's a ton of unlockable characters, just an absolute shit ton of playable characters in the first Hyrule Warriors. And through the DLC and its various releases on the 3DS and on the Switch, that game is easily hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of gameplay. Not just the main story, but all the adventure maps. So like adventure maps, how they like take the overworld map from Zelda 1, and as you go through squares of it, it throws like unique shorter fight situations at you. So instead of going through like one big storyline level, you go through these squares and it brings you have to kill this many of this enemy in a certain amount of time, and you unlock
they're challenges.
And you unlock like treasure and stuff, and you actually kind of like play through the map in a very rudimentary way. So like you can't go to this part of the map until you have these items, and it's a lot of fun the way it does it. There's also crafting. I think you can take each character up to like level 255. Our friend Gerard, I don't know if it's the game he's put the most time into, but he has certainly spent a excessive amount of time,
hundreds of hours,
you said? And even I have. Like, I'm not huge into Dynasty Warriors, and I'm not huge into Zelda, but for some reason, this game worked well enough for me that I not only bought it on the Wii U, I bought it on the 3DS, and I bought it on the Switch.
It's a peanut butter and jelly situation. They just make each other complement each other better. This is the type of game that works. And you said you've purchased this 3 times.
Yes, I have all 3 versions of the original. So
the Wii U,
3DS, and Switch.
And the Switch like put all the extra crap in it.
Yeah, I mean,
or whatever.
Not to like just go into full on advertisement mode, but for $60, you cannot buy a game that will occupy your time. Like bang for buck,
like Civilization, or you can't stop playing.
Yeah, it's dumb the amount of content that they packed into this. So yes, we have a sequel coming. It's using the art style from Breath of the Wild.
So that's what sold me. Because I love the art style in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, the art style in Breath of the Wild is great, but I also kind of liked how silly and nonsensical the story in the first Hyrule Warriors was. It was like, hey, we're all just kind of getting together and fucking stuff up.
Okay.
This, because I have not played Breath of the Wild, I am just slightly less interested.
You haven't played it at all?
No.
Okay.
No. Like I said, I am not like huge into most Zelda games, but this is one that like I could see Vani being interested in because she loved Breath of the Wild so much. I think this will actually, discounting my weird opinions, I think this will actually help this sell a ton. I think this will do very well.
Oh yeah, yes, because it's tied into Breath of the Wild. You're gonna have Breath of the Wild people give this a chance that wouldn't have. Absolutely, I might give it a chance.
And it would be interesting to see if they bring like a bunch of the DLC characters in like they did the first time. It'll be interesting to see those characters in this art style. I think it could be fun.
So this is a local 2-player co-op. That'll be fun. It challenges players to solve environmental puzzles, unlock weapons and skills, craft with gathered materials, visit shops to obtain items, and use the power of the Sheikah Slate. They're going to bring your iPad into here, your Hyrule iPad into here. If you choose to pre-order it, you will receive the Lucky Lady.
Ladle. Ladle.
Oh, that is an L. Lucky Ladle has an in-game mode. The Lucky Lady would be a nice DLC character. So you get the Lucky Ladle. So there you go. What I like about how Nintendo, everyone, this was a potential Patreon poll topic about, there has been a Nintendo Direct, Nintendo doesn't need for there to be a Nintendo Direct to raise awareness of shit. Like, they just don't. We're past that point. Like, this blew up within 10 minutes of being announced just by them putting it on YouTube and on social media. That, by the way, everyone, it's only 2 months away. Right. It's coming out. It's done. We were working on this thing for fucking years. You had no idea. And it's done. I love that approach. I love that Nintendo keeps everything close to the vest like that. Like the good old Fire Pro days. Oh, by the way, a new Fire Pro is coming out in like 6 weeks. It's coming out. It's like, this is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I said that even going back to when they were still doing directs, regularly. They announced something big, like the Fire Emblem they announced was like 6 months away. When they announced it, I enjoy that method of announcing and releasing games far better than, say, the Bethesda method, which was, I think it was 2 E3s ago, where they were like, and yeah, there's another Elder Scrolls coming, but we're not going to see anything about it.
Don't even tell me then.
Why bother? We know it's coming.
It's going to be 5 years away.
No, you're just going to stop making entries in your, a series that has continuously printed you money. No, of course there's another one coming. Tell us when you actually have something to fucking show for it.
Sure.
One of my favorite game series is the Armored Core series. It's a mech combat series, and From Software released a trailer for like Armored Core 6 like 4 or 5 years ago, and we have seen nothing about it since. I hate that shit. There's no reason to do it. So Nintendo's method of here it comes is pretty good, and I think they're learning from some past mistakes too, because they're currently dealing with the fact that they announced Metroid Prime 4 like 2 or 3 years ago, and then they had to completely fucking scrap it, and they had to come out and say that they're restarting it. So I think that they're learning that there is especially now, with everyone being indoors more, there being less to do, everyone's prickly, everyone's like jumping on anything they can, whether it's positive or negative. It might be best to just, as you said, hold the cards close to your chest and only show them when you know the game is going to be coming out.
There's almost no advantage. If you don't have a competitor, there's no competing Zelda games that are going to be made. There's no advantage to come out 2 years before and say, oh yeah, we're working on this.
Right,
because then you set yourself up for failure, like with Metroid, where it's like it's in a big embarrassment. Oh, we fucked up. Now the game is like a year and a half behind. We have to start from scratch.
Right,
like that's horrifying to say that publicly. Like that, I can't imagine if that happened to him. Like, and that's Metroid. Imagine that was like a Zelda or Mario game. Yeah, we fucked up. We hired these assholes that didn't know what they're doing. Basically, like, yeah, that will never happen again with Nintendo. You'll never get. Oh, we're the announce that we're working on it trailer. That I can almost guarantee you that they'll never do that again.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. Like that. what I was describing with like Bethesda and Elder Scrolls.
It's embarrassing.
It was the stereotypical, we're announcing nothing. It was literally, they just showed the words Metroid Prime 4 or something like that.
With like smokiness or whatever it was.
There was literally no graphics, no nothing.
Yeah, you get the fanboys to cheer, but then what is that? That doesn't translate into anything.
Those fanboys that you get to cheer by doing that are the first ones to go for your throat when you tell them that.
Where's it in the direct? Where's Metroid Prime?
Right, precisely. There's no benefit to appealing to those people.
No. That's not most of the fans anyway. The more reasonable people are like, all right, well, you got something, I'll buy it. You know?
Exactly.
So let's see, what else? A lot of players to learn more about Zelda, the 4 champions, Mipha, Rivali, Urbosa, and Daruk, the King of Hyrule, through dramatic cutscenes, I think, to save the kingdom for the climb. So this is why I like this idea, because no one thought about it. No one said, oh, we should do a Hyrule Warriors based upon Breath of the Wild. But I guess maybe, now and then some fanboys might have wanted it. But it makes sense because they're going to do the sequel series, sequel game, direct sequel. But to make this an entirely different gameplay, entirely different genre of game, but tie it in is brilliant. It's just brilliant that no one... Like, I guess they came to Tecmo Koei and said, we want to do this game. And they're like, oh, yeah, that sounds cool. Let's do it. I mean, that's probably how it sounded.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how far in advance this was. I'm guessing at least a couple of years to do a game of this scale, if not more, maybe 3 years.
Well, I don't think it would take that long. They've got the engine.
They have the assets.
They've got the assets.
Yeah.
They've got the engine. They've got the assets. I'm going to be honest with you here. I don't think that this game took them very long to do.
A couple of years at most.
At most. But I think that's kind of smart on Nintendo's part. Okay, this was a very popular Zelda. We have a sequel to this very popular Zelda coming out. Here's something that is fun and has worked for us in the past that we can probably actually throw together fairly quickly.
And we'll hold you over until the next game.
Yeah, that's the one area where I'll disagree. I think that this probably came together relatively quickly for them.
You're right. And I think that if they have all the assets, that's like half the battle.
They have, like I said, they have the assets, and the game engine has been refined for.
Right.
I mean, the Dynasty Warriors engine has been going through refinements for 20 years now.
Okay, you're right. I will defer to your Dynasty Warriors and past Hyrule Warriors knowledge there.
Thank you.
Because we don't know if the Breath of the Wild sequel is going to come out in a year from now or 2 years. We have no idea.
Right.
Because they haven't said it because they're smart. They haven't said, oh, expect it third quarter 2021. No, they're going to wait until they have a fucking trailer and it's going to come out like 3 months later or 4 months later. And that'll be it.
Well, they did do a teaser trailer, but at least that had something to show.
What was the teaser?
It showed Zelda and Link walking through like a cave, and then it showed the dead king skull face. Was like,
oh, that's right. That's okay. That's fine.
Spooky.
But it's just okay. But that means they're developing the
spooky.
Are they sharing like a ice cream cones together? Some custard? No. Anyway, all right. Well, I'm actually going to look forward to this game.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. As a matter of fact, I kind of want to go home and start playing more Hyrule Warriors because Lord knows I have not done everything there is to do.
And I know that people are like, oh, Nintendo hasn't really done much this year. Goddamn, they had Animal Crossing. There's a lot of stuff in the pipeline for the next year or two. We know that. There's tons of indie games on the Switch you can play. I don't care if the Switch becomes, well, it's Nintendo first party and tons of indie titles, even if the third party stuff is few and far between. It's still, I think it's still enough to keep it going. Obviously, they're selling. This is selling like it just came out. The system still
right.
3.5 years in, we're into this damn thing, and it's selling in the mid. It's 40 years old at this point. It's almost time to buy the Ferrari. Go through the midlife crisis, So anyway, we got 2 months to wait for this, Ian. We can do local co-op together. We can experience. I want to experience how much Ian loves Hyrule Warriors. I want to bond with him over this.
Okay. Moving on.